So this week, we're going to pick it up in Ruth chapter 1, verse 19. And this is where Ruth and her mother-in-law are heading back to Bethlehem. So the two went until they came to Bethlehem, which, by the way, is about 5 miles south of Jerusalem. And it came to pass that when they came to Bethlehem, all the city was excited because they said, "Is this Naomi?" Her name means pleasant and joy. So everybody loved her, but, she had been in Moab for about 15 years, and she'd lost a husband and 2 sons. She'd probably done a lot of crying. Her hair probably turned gray. That's why they said, "Is this Naomi?" Yeah. But they loved her. And they probably wondered, who is that beautiful woman, young woman who is with her? Verse 20, and she said unto them, "Don't call me Naomi, pleasant and joy. Call me Mara, for the Almighty," that term is El Shaddai, "has dwelt bitterly with me. I went out full, and the Lord has brought me home again empty. Why then shall you call me Naomi, seeing that the Lord has testified against me, and the Almighty has afflicted me?" I want to cover 2 things here. One is that she said, "Call me Mara," because it means bitterness. When I heard that word Mara, I thought, hey, this reminds me of the Old Testament, because in Exodus, after Moses leads them across the Red Sea, then they walk for 3 days and they don't find any water. Think about 3 days. 4 days, you're going to die.
Yeah, you're done.
They come to some little body of water and they try to taste it, and it is completely bitter. So they called the name of that place Mara. And they complained to Moses, and Moses talked to God, and God told them about a tree, which the Bible doesn't say what kind of tree it was. He put it in the water and it made it sweet. It made it drinkable for them. So God was taking care of them all the way through the wilderness, providing them manna, water, quail. And then when they crossed the Jordan into the promised land, it stopped just like that. Because now they were in the land of milk and honey, where there was plenty, and they had land that would be theirs, that they could work and make their own food. But the other thing I wanted to talk about was when she said, "The Lord has afflicted me." That is not fair to blame God. He's the one who can take that bitterness away. He's the one who can take sorrow away. He's the one who can comfort you. And she wasn't relying on that. She's kind of blaming God. He did all this to me. But the really cool thing about this story is that God's in complete control of everything that's going on right here. He has plans. Verse 22, and Naomi returned with Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, with her, which returned out of the country of Moab. And they came to Bethlehem in the beginning of the barley harvest. Okay, I said how God was guiding things. He inspired Naomi to come back to Bethlehem right when the barley harvest was happening. That's not an accident. Yeah. It was intentional that God put that in her mind. All right, now chapter 2, verse 1. This is a narrative. Naomi isn't speaking this. This is just a narrative of what's going on here. And Naomi had a kinsman of her husband's, a mighty man of wealth of the family of Elimelech. That was her husband, and his name was Boaz. So Ruth, because she married Elimelech and Naomi's son, she was part of that family. She was a kinsman to any of her father-in-law's relatives. And Boaz was very wealthy and very kind and very godly. And Ruth the Moabitess said unto Naomi, "Let me now go to the field and glean heads of grain after him in whose sight I shall find grace." So she's saying, I want to go to a field and I hope I find grace in that field and I'm able to glean. Yeah. And she said unto her, Go. Now, gleaning was...
Yeah, what is that?
Okay, gleaning is when they're harvesting and when they're reaping, there's going to be a little bit that they don't get.
Yeah.
And I'm going to explain to you right now what God told them to do. This is Leviticus 19, 9, and 10. And he's giving instructions to the Israelites when they get into the land. And when ye reap your harvest of your land, thou shalt not wholly reap the corners of the field, neither shall you gather gleanings of the harvest, meaning those little bits that are left. They're supposed to leave the corners. And thou shalt not glean the vineyard, neither shalt thou gather every grape of the vineyard. Thou shalt leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am the Lord your God. So gleaning is taking what's left after the reapers come through and reap their harvest. There's going to be little bits left, and they were allowed to do that. And they were supposed to leave the corners of the field completely unharvested so that the poor people and the stranger could come in and have food. So that's what she's doing. Verse 3. And she went and came and gleaned in the field after the reapers. And she just happened to come on a field belonging to Boaz. Okay? This wasn't an accident. God's controlling everything. Who was of the kindred of Elimelech, her father-in-law. And behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem and said unto the reapers, his fields were probably just right outside of Bethlehem, the Lord be with you. I mean, this is a pretty good guy talking to his employees that way. And they answered him, the Lord bless thee. Then Boaz said unto his servant that was set over the reapers, that would be his foreman, who is this damsel? He saw Ruth and he instantly, he had it for her. And he wants to know, who is she? And the servant that was set over the reapers answered and said, it's the Moabitish damsel that came back with Naomi out of the country of Moab. Okay, so now Boaz knows she came with my relative. So we're going to find out, because of things he says later, that he obviously went and talked to Naomi to find out everything he could about this girl.
Yeah.
And she said to the foreman, I pray you, let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves. So she came, and this guy's still talking to Boaz, and she continued, even from the morning until now, except she went into the house, which was some place where the slaves went, for a little while. Then Boaz said unto Ruth, so this is later on when she's back in the field, and he goes to the field to talk to her. And he says, hearest thou not, my daughter? He's just saying, listen to me. Go not and glean in another field, neither go from hence, but abide here fast by my maidens. He had maidservants who were also harvesting in the field. And he said, you go with them. He's already trying to help her. Let thine eyes be on the field that they do reap, meaning you go wherever my maidens go. He probably had more than one field. And go thou after them. Have I not charged the young men that they shall not touch thee? Now he's providing provision, and he's providing protection. And when you are athirst, go into the vessels and drink of that which the young men have drawn. So he's really taken her under his wing. Then she fell on her face and bowed herself to the ground and said unto him, why have I found grace in thine eyes, that thou should take knowledge of me, seeing that I'm a stranger? I want to point out something. Here she said, why have I found grace in thine eyes?
Yeah.
When she was talking to her mother-in-law in verse 2, she said she's going to go into a field where she's going to find grace in their sight. It happened. Verse 11, and Boaz answered and said unto her, it has fully been showed me all that you have done unto your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, and how that you left your father and your mother, and the land of your birth, and art come unto a people which thou knewest not before. She just left everything. And for him to know all this stuff about her husband dying and how she treated her mother-in-law, he's obviously talked to Naomi. And then he says, the Lord repay you for all of your work, and a full reward be given thee of the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings thou art come to trust. When he says under whose wings thou art come to trust, faith, believe, they're all synonyms. She's a believer. She believes in the God of Israel. Like before, she said, your God is my God. Okay, verse 13. Then she said, let me find favor in your sight, my Lord, for thou hast comforted me, and for that you've spoken so kindly to my heart unto your handmaiden, though I be not like one of the other handmaidens. She keeps bringing up, I'm not a Jew.
Yeah.
I'm a Moabitess. And Boaz said unto her, at mealtime you come up here and eat of the bread, and dip thy morsel in the vinegar, it could mean wine. And she sat beside the reapers, probably by the women, and he gave her roasted heads of grain, and she did eat, and was sufficed, and then she left. And when she had risen up to glean, Boaz commanded his young men, saying, let her glean even among the sheaves, that's right in the rows, and don't you rebuke her. And let fall also some of the handfuls on purpose for her, and leave them, that she may glean them, and don't rebuke her. So she gleaned in the field until evening, and beat out that she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley. An ephah of barley is like about a bushel. And when it says she beat it, they would take the barley, and there was a bunch of chaff, other kind of things with this barley. So a lot of times they'd take a stick and beat it, get all the gunk out, and then she'd have the grain. And she took it up and went into the city to her mother-in-law, and her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned, thinking, whoa, how did you get all this in one day? And she brought forth and gave to her all that she had reserved after she had eaten. And her mother-in-law said unto her, where did you glean today? And where did you get all this? Blessed be he that did take knowledge of you. And she showed her mother-in-law with whom she had gotten all of this. And she said, the name of the man who I was gleaning in his field today, his name was Boaz. And I'm just going to leave it there. We're going to hear about this love story next week.